Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Dr. Adam Fraser and welcome to the High Performance Show. Now, in this show, what we do is take all the cutting edge research in psychology from all over the world and bring it to you. Now, this show focuses on how do we do what we do, but just do it better. What our research has shown is there are 6 key drivers of high performance. So we need to have connected relationships. We need to have a focused mind. Self-awareness is a key driver of high performance. Having regular recovery so we can recover from the hard hours we put in. And also we need to have mental toughness. Now today what we're going to talk about is a mastery mindset. And the entry point to talking about this is I'm going to get you to reflect for a moment. And what I want you to reflect on is this question. What are you most proud of? Now, if you think about your entire life, I want you to sit there, or if you're with other people, have a discussion, but come up with the one thing you are most proud of. However, there's a couple of rules to this. Rule number 1, you can't use your kids as an example, because that's outsourcing it. That's about your kids. This has to be about you. It's something you've achieved, something you've done. And also, if you're with other people, rule number 2 is make sure it's socially acceptable. So just take a moment to think about what are you most proud of. So while you've been doing that, we had a discussion in the studio, and some of the things that people came up with was one person said losing 40 kilos, another person said moving countries. Someone also said, my gosh, like surviving brain surgery. But when you reflect on your example or what you came up with, was it something easy or something hard? Now, most likely it's going to be something hard. You think about all the examples in the studio, like they're some of the hardest things those people have ever done. And I've asked this question to thousands of people all over the world. And the most common answers are moved countries, built a business, studied full-time and worked full-time, ran a marathon. Even one woman talked about how she was kidnapped and escaped her kidnapper. What people always talk about with this is the hard stuff, the stuff they have to get in the trenches, fight it out, crawl out the other side, look back and say to themselves, that's what I'm hanging my hat on. We love the hard stuff. We're proud of the hard stuff. Now, about 4 years ago, I was asked to speak at a conference called Happiness and Its Causes at the Convention Centre in Melbourne. And one of the other presenters was this guy, the Dalai Lama. I got to meet the Dalai Lama, which was cool. What was cooler, though, is at this conference, I got to meet my hero. Now, it's sad and it's nerdy, but my hero is a researcher from the US called Ed Diener. And Ed is considered probably the world's leading expert on happiness. And I knew I was going to meet him because he's speaking at this conference as well. And I ran into the speaker's room. I was running late, threw my bag in. As I go to leave, I look up and Ed is in the opposite corner typing on his laptop, sitting on a chair. And I've seen him. I've just gone, oh my gosh, it's Ed. And you know when you talk to yourself? And I said, just be cool and play it safe and don't make a fuss. He looks up. We make eye contact. I'm all over Ed like a rash. I ran over there. I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyway, when it stopped being awkward, I said, Ed, I've always wanted to ask you a question. So, mate, you've been studying happiness for almost 40 years. Like 40 years. What have you learnt about happiness in 40 years? And he takes a moment to think about it, and he looks at me and goes, yeah. He said, what I've discovered is happiness is counterintuitive. I said, what does that mean? He said, well, what I'm trying to say is most people think happiness is lying in a hammock with a cocktail in your hand. He said, that's called pleasure. You should do it. It's great, but it's not happiness. He said, what we've discovered is human beings are happiest when they have a challenge that is outside their reach and they must stretch themselves to meet that challenge. He said, when they've seen themselves overcome something hard and that they have had to grow and evolve to get there, that is when they feel self-esteem and something we call authentic happiness. He then said to me, we've also discovered the worst condition a human being can be in. Now, what do you think that is? And it's not dead, because I get that a lot. But what he said is it's boredom. He said boredom is the worst condition for a human being, doing the same thing day in and day out, not growing and evolving. And he said to me, look, you don't have to throw your job in and do something completely different. But in your job, are you trying to stretch yourself? Are you trying to grow? Are you trying new things? He said human beings need to feel that they're evolving and moving forward, and they need challenge. I mean, think about it. Think about boredom. Put two kids in the back of a car, you start to drive. What do you hear after an hour? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I'm so bored. Are we there yet? Now, half an hour later, they start to do something different. What do? They fight. He's on my side. Tell him to stop. Give it back. He's touching me. My favorite is he's looking out my window. Yeah, why do they fight? Because they're bored. What we know is boredom is devastating for human beings. We need challenge, we need struggle, and we need to evolve. Now, following this conference, I was walking down the street in Sydney, and my mobile phone rings. And this massive number comes up, and I'm thinking, who's that? Anyway, I look at the number, and I answer it. And this woman with a really thick Arabic accent starts to talk to me. And she says, my name is Intisar. I saw you present in Melbourne. We want you to come to...
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.